They weren't in my
never know
You know,
maybe.
right. So the guy's doing a really good job.
That this woman
and I am the way.
Hello. Thanks for clicking on our faces. Today, we are bringing back an oldie but a goodie. We're bringing back one shots, a kind of series on our channel where we look at the first episode of a particular series, and we decide based off of that one episode if it deserves another shot. So this week, we decided to, go in the archives a little bit. Earlier this year, the show was released and discuss Supacell. Now, this was my first time viewing. I believe it's your first time viewing as well, i.e. one shots, right?
No.
Wait, you've seen it?
I recommended See the Superior.
You recommend? I didn't know you saw it. How many episodes did you see?
I mean, I've seen it all. I mean, I was.
Oh my God, you're lying to the people. He's lying to the people, guys. I'm not a liar to the people. I gave it this one shot.
Well, I mean, if I could just throw in, pull the curtain back a little bit. My mother recommended this show.
Okay.
And I watched this when she was locking my hair and everything. And I was blown away. So immediately I could already reveal that I enjoyed the show. I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are on this show. Especially when this, I think what makes the show so interesting, I don't want to go too far ahead because I know we have a structure here on the show. But it's a superhero show in London. I think South London, because, that's where shit always happens. It's always in the South. But I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it.
So, before we get into the show proper, we're going to discuss a bit of geek news that has been circulating recently. Hot off the presses, as in just disclosed today, it was online that Austin Butler is set to star in the next American Psycho movie. So if you don't know, they're remaking American Psycho. Wow. And they have their lead. So I don't know. What do you think about this casting choice? Wait, first, have you seen American Psycho?
No.
The first one. You have not. Okay. I've seen it. Okay. And it was a pretty good movie. It was I tend to lean towards more recent films, unless it's something that I saw as a kid. Me going back to like an old film from like the early 90s or something. It's rare for me to be like, oh yeah, I can get down with this. But this movie was interesting, and I can see why it has like such a cult following. But with casting Austin Butler, I know he's a pretty talented actor. He played Elvis, infamously. I believe the accent is what people are most remember from that movie. Him like keeping it on even after the movie was ended. But I'm here. I'll give him a little grace. I don't know if I can see him as a character. Because when I think of Psycho, you clearly just think of Christian Bale. And if I had to cast a different actor, who would just look like Christian Bale could possibly play the role, maybe this boy is all over the place now. Timothy Chalamet or something like that. Maybe him.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was in Wonka. He is that little skinny boy that everybody like. He's in Dune. Lead actor in Dune.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Okay, so I can see him in this. But they casted Austin Butler, so good for him. We'll see how that goes. The next bit of geek news that has kind of been circulating. I didn't get a graphic for this, but I would like to discuss it with you because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Okay. Chris Evans will be returning to the MCU alongside to our Tony Stark, aka our new Doom, aka Robert Downey Jr. So, yes, it is. What do you think about the return of Chris Evans, and do you think he will be coming back? Like, what character would you speculate him to be?
That's rough. I don't think he comes back as Captain America. They already killed. I mean, spoiler, they killed Johnny Storm, so I don't think that.
Okay.
What would he come back as? I don't know what he'd be coming back as. Look, I'm in a place like this where I would love to see these guys come back, right? But I'm like, I kind of don't want them to come back after the way that they were written off. Like Robert Downey
Mhm.
Jr., he was, he had a great send off, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Some people online would even say after Homecoming and they realized how much money he was making, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill this guy.
Right.
Chris Evans, I mean, I guess there's still that opening for him because they never really killed him off. He could be old man Steve, and
Okay.
I guess that's cool. So how do I feel about it? I'm not mad at it. I want to know more about it before I really give a decision. But yeah,
Fair.
I'm in that like that middle, if you will.
So when I heard about it, the first question I had was, well, if Captain is coming back, right? If Chris Evans is coming back, what does that mean for our Sam Wilson? Because he's supposed to be Captain America now, right? So it's
Right.
like, is he coming back as Captain America? I don't know. It would seem that they are shifting directions. Maybe they're doing like a Dark Avengers where, okay, because we got Robert Downey Jr. coming back as a villain. Maybe Chris Evans coming back as a villain. I was speaking with a few people on Instagram, and they were speculating that he would be coming back as Hydra Captain America. So there's that option. But with that, we also don't we already have like our evil Captain
Yeah,
America? And
John. Yeah.
yeah, and he's going to be in Thunderbolt. So it's like,
Yeah.
where would
How many
Chris
Captain
Evans be
America?
placed? It's interesting. And it
I love. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I love your thoughts about what would he be doing, and you mentioned Sam Wilson's Captain America. Maybe even come back for a cameo and just be like, because in the comics when Sam take the mantle, Steve is there just to like guide him in a lot of ways. He's just and he's old man Steve. So I
Okay.
kind of like that, as long as it's that, and they don't take away from Sam Wilson, because I would really hate for them to do that for him.
Right. Kind of still in the thunder. Like they announced this not too many months before his movie's supposed to come out. So we'll see what happens. But the final bit of geek news today, we have something from Sony. According to comicbook.com, Sony's Marvel spin-off films are done, right? They are no longer, according to comicbook.com, after Craven, there won't be any more Sony villain Marvel movies. So, thoughts?
Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Absolutely. I didn't even see it. I used all my voice for that one. I will never forget it from Madam Web. I didn't
Yeah.
even really hate Venom. I didn't see the last one. I really didn't hate Venom. You know the problem with this movie, and I think we discussed it a lot, that a lot of these movies, they need a Spider-Man. Like Craven does need Spider-Man. Venom, I feel like you need Spider-Man to introduce Venom, and then Venom can have his own spin-off movie. Madam Web, you saw Madam Web. I don't know if I ever asked you. You saw Madam Web, right?
I did not see Man of Web.
I went and saw Madam Web early this year, and I laughed. Matter of fact, there was not enough Fireball. That. But yeah, it's good that this is ending, though. I think this is
Yeah, Sony has had a tough lot when it comes to these, Marvel villain movies. I've heard via Jeff, shout out to the Guardians of Doom, that apparently Craven so far has a 9% Rotten Tomato score, and that's gotta hurt. But this is also apparently one of the more expensive Sony villain movies. The budget was I think it was $40 million, 130, $140 million.
So
And it doesn't seem that they're gonna make that back.
real quick. I mean, you saw you talk about the Sonyverse. You saw Mobius.
I did see Mobius. Shout out to knee pads. I saw it with knee pads.
How did he like that movie? That's hilarious.
He was down with it. He was ready for the Morbin time, and he was saying all the catchphrases. It's Morbin.
It's Morbin time. Jesus. Good
right. But I didn't really enjoy many of these movies. But you gotta try. You gotta try. They gave it a shot. It didn't really work out, and they're pivoting. So good for them. But speaking of pivoting, let's pivot into Supacell. Again, we're going to discuss the show and a little bit about what happened in episode 1. And also, we're going to let you guys know if it's worth another shot. At least I will, because he's already binged apparently the full season. But the episode kicks off with a couple of our characters here. We got from the left, top left, we have Mike or Michael. And it seems from episode 1, he has some sort of ability to time travel. I would say that he's a time traveler.
He could kind of see the future. He could see a different timeline, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to that spot. But yeah, he could kind of see. It's like almost time traveling, I want to say.
Okay, so yeah, we're introduced to him. He has a relationship with another character. I forget her name. I want to say it was like Donna or Dinah. She's at the bottom. Dion. There we go, at the bottom. And we're kind of feeling the vibe. It's like they're a cute couple. He's, bought her a car. They moved in together. He's thinking of proposing. And lo and behold, later in the episode, we see that by the way, he's a delivery driver. He's working for let's just say Amazon or something like that, right? And he goes to the rough part of town trying to deliver. And he gets cornered by some ruffians led by one of our characters here, Taser, right at the bottom left.
Taser, yeah.
And one of Taser's boys stabbed him literally in the chest, like right there in the heart. And he died. Yeah, that was a shocker to me. I didn't expect that in episode 1, but we see this is when his powers, he developed his powers. And from this episode 1, we see whenever a super individual utilizes their powers, they have like this glowing eye situation, the eyes that you see here in our thumbnail.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an interesting way to kind of show powers on screen. Like, there's always been like a little different type of way to display powers when you're, watching a show. So I thought it was interesting to have like the eyes change. And but to see that he had that ability, I was shocked. I didn't expect it to be time jumping. We don't really get a lot of time jumpers, I feel like, in superheroes. But what did you think of his ability?
I think it was cool. I mean, I think, you know what it is in this genre of superhero stuff, a lot of stuff has already been done. So what can you do to stand out? And I think it was really cool that, like, I'm glad that you mentioned the thing with the eyes, right? Like the way his eye, well, not just his, the other individuals, when their eyes glow, they're like, oh, that's when their powers activate. And I think it's really cool because this is really not an origin story necessarily, but like this is the beginning. They don't know how to utilize their powers. They don't know what they're doing. So yeah, no, I thought it was cool. Matter of fact, that scene, I kid you not, I once again was getting my hair done. I'm watching it, and when I saw him get stabbed, I said, "Holy crap!" Right. And I had to stop for a minute because I said, "Yo, he got stabbed in the heart. That looked kind of gruesome." And he went down and the breathing, and I was like, "Wow, they're really gonna kill him off like that?" Until you see it's almost like a rewind.
Yeah, like a Groundhog's Day almost. But we also have another stabbing in the show. Our boy Taser, he got stabbed earlier in the episode. And it wasn't made clear what his powers are exactly. I do know he gets them because of a flash forward that we get from Mike later in the episode. Mike. But one thing that I will say that kind of distracted me, I'll say, about this series in episode 1 was the thick, damn near incomprehensible accents. I was like, what are we saying? And like when they weren't talking, I guess it depends on who was on screen. Because when Taser and his boys was on screen, I didn't understand the goddamn thing they were saying.
One of his friends really have a heavy accent. He's the one who go, "Come on, mom." He's got a really heavy accent. And I know I know what you mean by that, but and yeah, I agree. It depends on who was on, and really more. I feel like more with Taser's boys who had a heavier accent than the other.
Yes, and I don't know. Forget if they were saying they're from South London or North London, but wherever they had a heavy accent, and not only it wasn't just the accent as well. They were, of course, speaking in like some sort of like slang that is native to where they're from. And me being over here across the pond, I was not keeping up with between the accents and the slang. I was like, what the hell is going on? I had my captions on.
Some of the stuff that they were saying, I'm trying to utilize for my own thing. Hey, you having a good time? Yeah. Because like they'll be like, I don't know why. Like I was like, did you say yeah after that? Like you want to go outside, y'all? I
Who
don't
goes
know why.
like, yeah.
Like stuff like that I was like, oh, I gotta utilize that more. Like you
Yeah.
having a good time, mate, y'all.
But another thing I found really refreshing, I would say, is the
Yeah,
fact that dance hall culture is over there too. Like they was
yeah.
heavy out there at the house party,
Mhm.
listening to all kinds
Like
of
hip
dance
hop,
halls.
yeah, yeah. I almost feel like if we went over there, right? You know how sometimes if you go somewhere else, you might say like, man, I'm gonna stand like a sore thumb. You might have a good time out there if you will.
Right, facts. We blended right in, which is another thing that I enjoyed about the show because
Yeah,
we talk a lot about superhero shows,
yeah.
and it's a rarity to see a full cast of characters that look like us.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed that as a person of color,
Yeah.
watching other people of color be main characters, be superheroes.
And
Um,
authentic too. I think that's the main thing too. You could tell like when this was written, it didn't feel forced. It didn't because I'm pretty sure you watch a lot of stuff and you see a lot of times you see people that look like us and they'll be like you'll be like we don't talk like that or that's not something that would go on in this
mhm.
in our culture if you will. So I wanted to piggyback on that.
Yeah, so that was nice to see on screen. But just to get into a couple more of our characters, we
Mhm.
have Sabrina next to Mike at the top row.
Mhm.
She is I believe she's a nurse,
Mhm.
and she's going through issues with her boyfriend. He ends up standing her up. Her and her either
So,
roommate or sister, I'm not sure, decide to pop up on him. And he
yeah.
was there, of course, with another woman. And that's when we see her abilities come forth. And she has like some kind of kinetic power similar to like a
Mhm.
Jean Grey, I would
I was,
assume.
well, that's good. I was gonna call it Storm, but yeah, Jean Grey, I see it.
Storm, what does the elements? This lady is doing like pushing and
I
pulling and
assumed
stuff.
she said wind.
No, no. You know what? This is really off topic, but this is
Oh.
something that I thought about the other night.
Mhm.
It is related to Storm and superheroes and Black superheroes, so it is kind of on topic. So I'll drop this and I'll see if anyone who watches the playback knows
Yeah.
more than I do. So uh, I watched this series on YouTube, and they talk about all kind of random things. And they had an episode where a brain surgeon was discussing the brain, and he mentioned something along the lines of the brain and the heart are electric organs. They run off electricity in a way in our bodies. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking, has there ever been, when Magneto, when he did that thing, the person he was like, "Oh, too much iron in the blood," and he did that thing in the movie, and he got the iron out of the blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Has there ever been, to your knowledge, a case where either Black Lightning, Static Shock, Storm, all of our lightning powered individuals,
Mhm.
where they stopped someone's heart or stopped someone's brain or took over their brain? So I was thinking, if they could do that, then Storm could take out Professor X easily if she can get power over his brain. Like it
Ooh.
seems like it's a very OP power to have this, electric ability if they utilize it in that way. But I don't know if they ever did that in comics. They probably have given that they've been around forever and a day, but none to my knowledge. So if you're watching this, I might record this and ask it in my stories.
Please do.
Has there ever been an electric powered superhero that has stopped someone's brain or heart just because those are like electric organs? But anyway, back to the show.
That was great. You can make sure to clip that and make that as a reel too, so people can answer that.
I will. But yeah, so again, Sabrina, her powers I would liken more to a Jean Grey. We do see again in the later flashback into the future, she's like up in the air, moving shit around, moving cars and stuff. So that's what I was like, okay, Jean Grey, I'm trying to connect the dots here.
Okay,
Also, speaking of, we're going down the line, we got our boy Andre.
I like Andre.
Andre's story was interesting to me
I
because
like Andre.
he's a dad.
Yeah.
He's a dad with no funds. And I don't know what this man did to be losing job after job after job. I'm assuming that they go into it later in the series. But the baby mama has had it. She is sick of him not paying the child support, not being around for the son. He
Mhm.
finds a little job, but they did what I'm
Back.
assuming is a background check that he failed
Yes.
for whatever reason, with some mysterious
They,
reason.
they talk about it in the later episodes. Andre is like one of my favorite characters. I was thinking about this, and I think so. I had to rewatch this yesterday, and when I rewatched it, I was saying like, and I think everyone you can find a character that you like, right? I know we're gonna get down to a certain other character, and I can tell you off rip, I love his power immediately, and you know who I'm talking about.
I
But
think I do.
Andre's character, I fell in love with his character because it's just a guy who's trying to be there for his kid, and he's just trying to do right by society, and society just pulling back the not the curtain. It's almost like, oh, you gotta be cooking than that, you gotta be
The
cooking than that.
goalpost. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Yes.
So yeah, I felt bad for him when his son was like, "Oh yeah, can you give me something to eat?" And he thought he would have some money. That was sad, but we do see that's when his powers develop. He saw that negative balance on the ATM. He was
Bang. I think that's any of us though. Honestly, I think we all have that in us, and we ever saw our bank account
look.
say,
No, I'm more mad that they didn't pay him for the day he was there. Like, regardless, you better
right.
pay me for hours worked, right? That would have pissed me off too.
He said that. He said that too. He called his boy. He was like, "Yo, I worked today. Like, I deserve
Uh-huh.
to get paid." He had all the
But
money in the world.
But my thing is, why are you cursing out the friend? He the one who tried to hook you up with the job. Not you about to call
No,
him all angry and mad.
I don't think he was cursing him out. I think he was just frustrated. And it
Yeah,
just
but
made me
let's
that way.
tunnel that anger to where it needs to be. Don't be calling my phone in the middle of the night, mind you, to try and curse me out over some funds that, because you ain't got no money in the bank. Like, sir, that had nothing to do with me. But he did punch it, and we see that he has like a Hulk-like ability. He's super strong.
He looks like him, honestly. If you look at him, I mean, he's built.
Oh yeah, he built like a brick house. That's a strong man. There's a great cast. Strong man. So, and I believe finally in this episode we're introduced to our last superpowered individual, and that's Rodney. Now this boy came up a little aggravating to me. Like, he's coming up like, trying to be the pushing man, talking about, hey, I got a little bit of weed. And he's literally walking up to everybody, any black person he see on the street, he's just assuming, racially profiling them that they're going to smoke weed. And I'm like, what in the hell? But it's revealed that when he tries to go after a bus, that he has super speed, and this is clearly the one that you like the best. I know.
If I had any ability, look, some people want to fly, some people want to shrink. No, give me speed. I want speed. I'm gonna just run everywhere. Oh, I missed the bus. I love. As soon as I saw it, I said, I like this guy. Now, as a character, not so much. But once again, I had to watch this back. And later on, each character, they get kind of like their own little arc, and they get to you get to dive into their character. And when I was watching this back, because he has if you look at the episode is named Michael. Each episode is named after the character, so it's going to be really revolving around them. So in this episode, there's a spot where he says, he talks to his friend. He says, "At least you could go home," and that went over my head the first time. Now later on, I see why he said it, but watching it back, it played into it because I missed it the first time. And you can see what he means by when he sees a interracial family where the mother is white and the kid is black or something like that. That's going to play into something later on. I think he's another character that watching it back, because I can see what you mean by annoying, but watching it back, I feel like there's substance to his character.
So what you telling me? He got white mama? That's what it is. He got white mama who maybe disowned him, and that's why he's racially profiling all the blacks in the street with drugs.
I don't know about the last part, but yes, the first part, you're right.
I didn't see him approach not one white person, not one other person. He was running straight up to all the blacks, talking about, I got what you want, I got what you need.
No, it's true. He went up to Michael, who's working, and
right.
said, like, hey, do you I kind of can see what you're coming from, because, like, look, I dabble. If I'm working, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, you know what, you can't just do that, bro.
Right. And you just want to assume that I do drugs? Like, if you don't get out of my face. That's why I was glad when Mike was like, yeah, sure, and then deleted his number just to get him out of his face. But also, we see, again, we're back on Mike. He has his beautiful girlfriend planning to propose. They do. It was such a cute little speech. She was nervous. She says, I do, of course. They go back to the house, try to get it on. And then next thing you know, he's transported into, I thought like maybe they was about to transport him in the past. It was kind of like a close-up shot. And all you see is like architecture in the background. I was like, did he like time travel like way back when? But no, he traveled to the future. And at which point he saw all of the people we were introduced to in the show, but they seemed fully
Equipped.
fully
with power.
equipped
Yeah.
and comfortable with their powers. And he also sees himself as like a rugged version of himself, right?
Now
And
that's the Michael right there that should go back in time to Deanna, right there.
Oh,
Yeah, that one. This Michael, he can go push something, but
I
that
don't know.
Oh, come on.
The older Michael look a little haggard, looking like he about to tell you the sky's falling or something.
He's gone through some things, but
Yes.
you know, I think that that one a little rough around the edge. The other one looked like I don't know. I can't follow up with that. Go ahead.
But in the distance, we see a portal of some sort, and some bad guys, some baddies come through the portal. And I believe they refer to them as like the hoods or something like that. Was it the hoods or the something like that? What was it? What's our baddies of the show?
I don't know what their name is, but it ain't no damn the hoods.
I swear it's the hoods. They said, look out for the hoods. And they all had like hoods.
The hoods are coming.
Yes. I'm gonna look it up. We're gonna look it up after the show, but I swear it was like something like the hoods.
You might be right, but it just sounds you might be right. One see the superior, and that's the last time you ever hear me say that. You might be right, but I just think that's the most uncreative name in the world.
Oh, well. But okay, all in all, and just to wrap up, the older Mike and the younger Mike, they speak. Older Mike takes younger Mike to a graveyard where he says, you can save her. And I thought it would possibly, like, I had a feeling it was going to be the girlfriend, but we also were introduced to his mom early in the show also, who had like some kind of illness. So I was like, oh, yeah. So it was revealed to be the fiance, Dion. She only has a couple more months to live. And older Mike said, you can save her. So it seems like there's going to be some kind of situation happening in the next few episodes. But overall, since you've seen it, what did you think just specifically of the first episode?
So I remember the first time watching it, it started off slow, but as it picked up, I was like, oh, okay, I was intrigued. So by the first episode, I wanted to watch more. So I don't want to say like a diehard fan, but I became interested and wanted to fall down that rabbit hole of so yeah.
Okay. All right. So for me, when I first started watching, I was intrigued because again, I said, oh, this is all black cast. I can see, superheroes. I'm down with this. Then when the accents came in and the confusion of the slang that I couldn't really interpret, it was to the point that, I'm old now. God damn it. I don't got time to be learning new slang, least of all new slang from over there in Europe somewhere. So I was like, this is too confusing for me. I'm not with it. Right. But then when we got to the point where we're seeing people's powers and we're getting like, the plots developing a little more, I became interested. I was quite intrigued. So I feel like this show definitely deserves another shot. If you were just considering possibly watching Supacell, like letting all of, once, because it's been out for a while, so people have watched it. Some people kind of written it off like I did. However, it is worth a look in case you haven't had the opportunity or you were kind of on the fence. I would definitely go give this series a shot.
If I could just add real quick, want to see the superior. If you guys can give it a shot, because season 2, they didn't say when it was going, but they're going to be having a season 2. So it's been greenlit for that. So good for them. And shout out to the director. His name is Ratman. I never heard of this guy a day in my life, but I always liked the name. When I heard the name Ratman, I said, good job, dude.
Shout out to him. And shout out to the fact that this series, I believe it's only 6 episodes. So it's very, bingeable, it would seem. So if you're interested, you got a long weekend, pop on Supacell and watch the full season.
Even I heard her.
Yeah, 2 thumbs.
What's it, 2
Look, I thought this thing was supposed to be, blocking out some. Maybe not, but either way, thanks for watching, guys. We will see you later. Goodbye.